Alright, today we're going to go over how to set up failsafe mode using EzUHF and a Naza-M V2. So here we have a QAV 500 quadcopter with the Naza here. Well, that's the controlling part. The flight controller is in the middle, and there we have the EzUHF. Over here, have a DX9. And attached to it is the EzUHF transmitter. And then over here we have a laptop which we're going to use to configure the Naza. So why do you want to do this? Well, the answer is basically so you don't lose your quadcopter. When you went through the setup for the Naza, you probably configured the fail-safe behavior, and there were two options. Let's see if I can find it in here. There we go. Failsafe. There are two choices. There's either land or go home and land. And so the idea is that if you lose connectivity with your transmitter, you want this to go into failsafe mode and let's just say come back to you. But the thing is, you need to get it all set up for this to work correctly. So that's what we're going to go through today. So in setting this up, essentially what we're going to be doing is telling the EzUHF what each channel should be sending to the flight controller when it goes into failsafe mode. So if the EzUHF detects that it's no longer receiving a signal from the transmitter, it's going to put all the channels, or send a certain signal on all the channels to the flight controller, and that's what we need to configure today. And so what we need to configure is to make sure that the flight controller receives the signal to go into failsafe mode. So I'm going to turn this on and show you a few things. Alright, we have the QAV 500 powered up, and as you can see over here in the control mode, I actually have this bound to a 3-position switch on my transmitter. So I'm going to go over here and let's see, zoom in. I'm going to flip the 3-position switch, and I can flip between the manual,
flight mode 2,
ATTI, and
flight mode 1,
GPS.
flight mode 2.
So notice we never actually hit failsafe mode. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the transmitter to send this signal on a knob instead of a switch. And that will allow us to get the flight mode into failsafe temporarily. So we're going to do that now. Alright, so as I just mentioned, we need to take the control mode switch and we're going to move it from a 3-position switch over to a knob just temporarily. So we're going to go over to the DX9. I'm going to go into system settings, and I happen to know that the control mode is on the gear channel. So I'm going to go into system setup, hit yes, great. Go into channel assign, and then we're actually going to go to next, because this is just our export assignments. Next, here we go, channel info config. And notice gear, here we go, the gear channel is currently set to switch C, which is a 3-position switch. So we're going to change that to be the right knob. So, right knob, there we go. So that's what we're going to do. Now we're all set. So now, the right knob will cause the control mode to change. So here we go. I will, sorry about that, zoom in. I'm going to move the knob and you'll see what happens. There we go. See how we can move back and forth? So, working perfectly. So what we're going to do is set this on failsafe. So here we go. I have the knob set so we are pointed to failsafe. So basically now what we're doing is we're setting up the transmitter to have all the channels in the exact position we want when the system goes into failsafe mode. So we have the knob set. We have the knob set so the control mode is failsafe. You want to put your throttle all the way down and all the other controls in neutral position. And so now, this is what we want the channels to be when the system goes into failsafe. So now we just need to tell the EzUHF about that. So that's as simple as going to the EzUHF and pressing the failsafe bind button for about 1 second till it beeps. Here we go. Great. So that told the EzUHF that this is what all the channels should be sending when it goes into failsafe mode. And so next thing, we're going to test that. Okay, so before we test failsafe mode, what we need to do is change this back, change the control mode back to being on a 3-position switch. So back in the system setup. Channel assign. Remember, go next. And then we're going to switch it from right knob to switch C. And so that should be set back, and we're going to verify it by looking over here. And here it is, right in the middle. And I'm going to move the 3-position switch.
Flight mode 1.
Goes to GPS
Flight
mode.
mode 2. Flight mode 3.
Great.
Flight mode 2.
So we are all set to test this. So if this was set correctly, what should happen is if I turn off the transmitter, this should move into failsafe. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to come over. And I can't turn off the transmitter here because it's actually this which is the transmitter. So what I'm going to do is unplug it. So I'm going to go pull the power cord on the transmitter, and as soon as we do this, we should see it move into failsafe mode. Power's out, and over here you see it has moved to failsafe. And so now what will happen is, you know, if you were really flying, the Naza would go into the failsafe behavior you had defined. So in my case, it would go into return to home mode. Key point about that is if it's going to return to home successfully, you need to make sure that when you took off, you had a good GPS lock on your location. So let's actually turn the transmitter back on, and we will see it come out of that mode. So here we go. Let's find the power cord. Great. We're going to turn the transmitter back on. There we go. And it is on. It will come back over. And there we go. We're back in the desired flight mode. So there you go. So that is how you set up failsafe mode with EzUHF and your Naza flight controller. Hope this helps.